So let's say we have this here. Now we have something called okay, so first close the file first, file dot close. Now again, file equals to open, or just do a with, that would be better, open, and you say subhodeep.txt as file, right? Inside here, what you do is you make a variable, let's say data. It's your variable. Inside data, you're gonna say file dot read, and since we don't want those things, whatever the new lines, so we say split, and inside split we say /n. Boom, it went away. But now if I check data, it has all the contents. Wow, I can do the same thing using the older method. I can say file, okay, just make this empty, data equals to blank. Okay, now what I can do is instead file equals open subhodeep.txt. Now previously we would have done file dot read dot split. Inside split you give new lines because we do not want new lines, as simple as that. Previously this is what we are doing, but no more. We're going to store this thing inside a variable, and the variable is data. Okay, file dot read. So now if I try file dot read, the data is gone. I have to close it, I have to open it once again in order to read that. But no more, I have stored the contents of the file inside this. So if I say data, boom, we have it. So we don't need to read it again and again and again. Just read it once, take the contents, put it in a variable, that's it. Now whenever you want to read the file once again, don't go open it and again read it, just access the data, right? And in that way you can make your programs run much faster, because reading from RAM or from primary memory is 1,000 times faster than reading from a hard disk. Okay, now imagine this situation. You have information in your brain, right? In your brain, so exactly when Taj Mahal was built, or exactly when the Great Wall of China was built. This, and it's in your head. You can say it in a second, like boom, I know this is the year when the Great Wall of China was built. But let's say you do not know the year, you have forgot the year. What are you gonna do? You're gonna search for a historical book, and once you find the book, you search through the pages in order to see the date. Once you find the date, now the date is into your head. Now you say the same thing, that well, the date is this. But it took more time because you went to search for a book, you search through the pages, you then find the date, and then only the information came into your head. But if you remember it, so it's already in your head. That's much faster. It's already inside your head. You don't need to go to find a book to know the date, right? And you can in a second tell the date. You have information in your brain, you can say that much faster as compared to information that is not present in your head. You gotta go to the internet, search it, or you have got to find a book which contains the information, or you have got to read an article about that, and then you have to say this is much slower, right? If you already know the thing, that's an advantage, right? So well, that was the part, guys. So this is the basics of file handling. This is how we read from files. So the reading part is completed. we now know how to open files using two methods. The first one is variable approach, which is not good because sometimes we forget to close things and that's really bad. And the next approach is with, using context managers like this. Okay, this is the second approach and this is recommended ones. We have also seen three methods to read from a file: read, read lines, and read line. And we also know how each of them works in detail. So now we are done with the reading portion of file handling. Now let's move on to the writing portion of the file handling. And in this section, you will understand what are modes in a file. While file handling, you need some modes. By default, it is read, but we will know about two other modes. That is, one is write, one is append, and there is another special action, or you can say special mode, which is called read write, where you can actually read the file as well as write from write into the file. So let's get started. Now let's move on to our directory or folder, which is cd desktop and then demo. Okay, so here are our example files. Let me check this once again. So we have these many files. Now we will write to a file. So first let's open our Python interpreter. Now let's get started. So to write to a file, again you have to open, let's say with open, and you say something like this, and give a file name. Let the file be random.txt. Okay, so this is the name of the file you're gonna create. If this exists, if this file already exists here in the directory, okay, so it will write to that file. But if it does not exist, which is true in this case because there is no random.txt, okay, so since this does not exist, Python will create a file called random.txt and will write to the file. So how can we do that? So the first thing that we are passing to the open function is the name of the file, right? So you are familiar with this. You are passing the name of the file and you're opening the file. But there's one thing. You're specify, this time what's new is that you're specifying to the Python interpreter that you are going to write to the file. Okay, so you're going to write to the file. So you're saying open this in writing mode. What is writing mode? The mode where we can write to the file. Till now, whatever we have done, we can read from the file, but we cannot write to the file. So before opening this in a writing mode, let me show you what happens if I do not specify anything. Let's say I just open this thing in this way with open random.txt as let's say file. Inside file I say file.write. So this is the thing you're going to use, write, just like read. So inside write, let's say you say hello world, and now see what happens. Boom, you get an error. It says no such file or directory. Now you may say that Shubhadev, you just said that if it does not exist, Python will create a new file, right? Yep, but only in the case of write mode, not in the case of read mode, because by default this thing is in read mode. That means Python can read from the file. Python can read the data from the file. It cannot put the data into the file. And in this mode, if something does not exist, Python won't create it, right? So let's say you want to read from a book and you have you do not have the book right now. So what you're gonna do? You're gonna create a book where you're gonna write your own information, no, right? So let's say I want to let's say I want to study mathematics. I need a book, but I don't have a mathematics book. Now I won't write a mathematics book to read mathematics, right? That's not logical. So in case of read, the file must be present in the given folder, right? But in case of write, if the file exists, good enough, write into that file. But if the file does not exist, not a big deal. Make the file, then write to it. That is the basic difference between read and write. Now let's create a file. First of all, we will create a file and then we will write to it, and then we will write to a existing file. Okay, so let's get started. So we say with open. Inside open, again you do the same thing. You say random.txt. Now the new thing comes here. You give another argument, and it is a sorry, it is a string argument. Okay, just a single alphabet, W, and W means write mode. Okay, so there, these are different modes. Okay, there are different modes. So you're gonna learn about W, you're gonna learn about A, which is append, and you have already done this. R is for read. You don't need to give this thing because by default the open function has this. Okay, it already has this. If you want to read from a file, just give this thing and you are good to go. No need to give this one, right? But when you are going to write to a file or you're going to append to a file, you must provide a mode. This is called the mode file. The mode in which you're going to open the file. So here I'm going to say W. W means open the file to write into the file. Okay. Now the Python interpreter knows that I am going to open the file so that I can write into it. And now I'm going to say as inside this I say file dot write, and whatever I pass inside this, it will be it will be put into that file. So let's say I give hello world. Okay, and I hit enter. Let's see what happens this time. It returns something, 11. Why 11? It gives us the length of the string, that is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. So it gives us the length of the string, right? So it says I have written 11 characters to the file. That means mission successful. Now if I check dir, let's see what happens. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to open another terminal, and now I need to go to desktop slash demo. Now if I say dir, now see there is a new file called random.txt, and look at this thing very carefully. 11, right? This means that it has 11 characters inside that. 11 alphabets or 11 characters inside this thing. This is the reason Python has returned 11 here. And Windows also says the same thing, that we have a text file here called random.txt. It was created on this date and this time, and it has 11 characters only. So boom, we have it. Now let's check it out. Let's, yeah, this is our demo, and let's open the random.txt. So wow, we have our hello world here. Now you can see that this works fine, right? So we have our random.txt, which was not previously present. It was not there. But when you said open random.txt in write mode, even the file did not exist, the Python interpreter created a new file called it or named it random.txt, and inside random.txt it put all the things that I have mentioned while using this function, file dot write. So write into the file whatever I have given you. This lines basically means this, that write into the file this thing. Okay, so this thing should be put into the file. Now there is a problem with this file, this thing. But first let me go through this once again. Now let's say we have subhodeep.txt, right? Now let's check the contents of subhodeep.txt. Let me show you. Okay, so we have subhodeep.txt. So we have 3 lines. We have Subhodeep Sarkar, we have my phone number, and I have my country, right? Now if I want to write to this file, you would say, okay, just copy this because I will really need this, and I will show you why I'm copying this. So now we have this, and inside terminal, let's open another file with open you say shubhodeep.txt, and you specify write mode. So you want to write to the file, and you say to the Python interpreter, hey Python, I want to write to the file, and it's a file. Now you say file dot write. So you want to put something in this file, so you want to say like /n, because this will give a new line. Have a great day. So we're going to put this to the end of the file, right? So you're going to think that, well, there is Shodip Sarkar, there is phone number, there is country, and after country I have a new line where I will say have a great day. Let's finish this. Now it says 21, which is the length of this whole thing. Now let's open Shubhadeep once again. So this is the old thing. Let's open this once again. Whoa, where's our data? It's gone. What can I do? How did this happen? Because I have said that write to the file. Okay, and this means that ignore whatever is present inside the file, just remove the whole thing, just throw it away and write to the file. Okay, now that's what you don't want, right? Because whenever you specify w and the file exists, all the previous things, all the previous contents of the file will be deleted, removed, and the only thing you will have inside the file is this thing. But that's not what you want, right? You want to add this thing to the next line. How can you do that? Let me show you. uh this is the reason I copied. So let's paste this once again, save this, and now let me show you how we can do that. This is called okay, and this is called append. Append means whatever you are putting, put it at the end of the file. So let me show this thing to you. We have demo, so we have shubhadeep.txt. So where is the cursor right now? Where is the cursor right now? So after this goes, and after once we finished all the lines, here is the cursor standing. So whatever I'm going to write to the file, it's going to come here just after this. Okay, so now if I do something like this, let me show you. I'm going to say as file dot write, and inside this, let's say have a great day. Now see what happens. Boom, it says 16, right? Now let's close this and open this once again. As you can see, it's here. Okay, let me make this a little bit bigger. Yeah, so just after India we have this thing. Okay, why? Because last time our cursor was standing here, there was no new line, so our cursor was standing here, there was nothing after this. And when we say that open a file and append to the file, it means add whatever I am saying right now to the end of the file. And what is the end of the file? Well, this cursor, this blinking cursor over here is the end of the file. It's where it ended, right? Last time after India we didn't put anything there. After India there was nothing, it was blank. So this is the reason this is the end of the file. And when you say append it to the file, it just adds the thing to the end of the file. Okay, But now if I want a new line, just remove this, Control V, save this once again. So this is our original content. And now if I want a new line, I have to specify that. Okay, file dot write, and just say have a great day. Now see what happens. Again 17. Let's see what happened. Yeah. So open this. Whoa, we have our content at the end of the line, and well, there's a new line because of the backslash n we have put. You know, this backslash n says, put a new line, or simply hit enter and then put this thing. Okay, so after India we put enter and then we have this. Now where is the cursor? Where's the end of the file? This is the end of the file. This is called EOF, or end of file. Okay, uh, again when we try to write to this file, the write will happen from here. I'm sorry, if we try to append this file, the append will start from here. Okay, but if accidentally we open the file with W mode, our data will be gone. So remember that, do not open a file which is very important in W mode, because W mode means you're gonna write to the file, you don't care whatever there's inside the file, you just remove the thing, put your own thing. So don't do that mistake. Okay, okay. So that is the, that is called the write function, or sorry, the write method. Now there's another thing that I want to show. So so this is W, this is A, right? This is A. Now there's another write method. Just like read had three methods, write has two methods. First one is called write, which is basically this thing, and the another thing is called write lines, which is basically the same as read lines. So what did read lines do? Let me do that once again. So let me just remove this because I'm opening this in a in read mode, so no need to do that. File dot read lines. So what's happening? Let me see. So it returns me a list of lines. Okay, so this is the first line, this is the second line, and this is the third line. And the same thing goes for write lines as well. We take a list and we write it to the file in form of lines. So what I mean is, let's say we have a list of fruits, so apple, and we have banana, and we have let's say mangoes, and we have oranges. So we have four fruits. Now when I use write lines, what will happen is that each of them will be a line. Okay, so this will be the first line, this will be the second line, third line, and fourth line. Okay, uh let me show this to you. But again, there's a twist here. Let me show this to you. So let's say we have fruits, pardon me. Okay, so now again I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to open Subhodeep.txt, or let's open a random, because I guess that would be better. Okay, so I'm going to open random, and we don't really care what there's inside that, so we just open it with write mode. So I'm going to say that whatever inside that, remove it, we don't need it. So I'm going to say file dot write lines, write lines, I'm going to pass fruits. Let's see what happened. Let's open our random. This is random. Let's see what happened. And here we go. So we have what we wanted, but there's a problem. We can see clearly that, well, these are joined together. and that's not what we want, right? We want separate lines. So this is what read lines do. Okay, it takes a list of different things and puts it into the file as lines. And the problem is that we haven't specified the new line, that is the enter key, after each one of them. So what we need to do is we're gonna do the same thing. Oops, not this one, not this one. Yeah, open this one. Again, we don't care what is inside the file. We again file dot, okay, I need to modify this once again. So I have fruits. What I'm gonna do is slash n. Okay, I'm gonna add a slash n. Okay, now let's see what happens once we do this. And when we say this, now see what happens. Now if I try to open the same thing, where is my demo folder? So now if I try to open random, here you can see that the list has been converted into multiple lines. So apple, banana, mangoes, oranges, because we have a new line after each word, right? So that's what happening here. Now, you is there any another way? Well, there is a way. Let me show this to you. So again, with open, okay, open, I'm going to specify random.txt and open this in W mode as well. I'm going to say for, we are starting a loop for fruit in fruits, that is we're gonna go over this thing, we're gonna go over each one of them individually. I'm gonna say file dot write, and inside file dot write I'm gonna pass fruit. Now let's see what happens. So it says 6788. Why did this happen? Because 1 2 3 4 5 6, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and again 8 here. So it is showing me individual length. And now what actually happened, let's open this once again, close this, open this once again. See, we have the same thing, but this is a longer way. So we sometimes need to use a for loop, and sometimes we need to use the read lines method, whichever you prefer, and according to situation just use it. And again, open random.txt in write mode. Okay, just modify. Let's see what happens if I try to write this and I do not put you know I really don't, I really don't put anything, this n thing. Okay, so I have this thing, just remove these. Oops. Okay, now let's do the same thing once again. Write to the file, file.fruit. Okay, now 5677, because I have removed the n thing, you know the new line. Now let's open this once again. Now we have the same thing, but there is a way to avoid this, and that is a trick actually. So Python is all about tricks. For fruit in fruits file dot write, and inside this use a trick. Now what's the trick? Yes, it's called format string. And inside format string you pass fruit. That means okay, just a little gap here. Yep, now it's okay. So you're gonna pass the fruit here, and after fruit you're gonna add a new line. Now see what happens. Again we get this thing, although there's no new line after this. Why? Because we are adding this new line here instead of here. So there's no necessity that we have to add new line in the list itself. No need, just add it in the right. Okay, add it while doing this thing. So you don't need to specify this thing multiple times. So if there was a list, if there were a list of 100 items, you don't need to specify slash n in each one of them. No need, right? What you need to do is just, well, you can do it using the map function, but don't go for it. The better approach is to use new line if you really need new line while writing to the file itself. That's a better way, right? So well, that's how you write to the file. And you already saw what read lines can do. So there are two things: write lines. So that's the thing. Okay guys, and I guess we are done with the modes, right? Appending, writing. Okay, well, so one last thing that I'm going to show you is that let me just check this one. Okay, yep, it's working fine. Okay, so one last thing that I'm going to show you is to how to read and write from file at the same time. Let's open a file. Let's say with, and you say open, and you open random.txt, and this is a new mode. So look at it very carefully. So it is called plus mode. See what, how, how to write it. So I can say r plus, or I can say w plus. So basically both the things are same, and it means that you can write from the file, you can write to the file as well as read from the file. So you can do both things. So you can use r plus, means you can read from the file as well as append to the file. You actually, it's not write, actually it's append. Okay, now let's see this in action. So I say file. Previously, if you had opened the file in read mode and you used like write mode, you would get an error. Or if you would have opened the file in write mode and tried to read from the file, you would get a error as well. But in case of this thing, while we open this one, so I can read from the file. So I can say file dot read, and after this I can also say file dot write, and inside this I'm going to say hello. Now see what happens. Boom, this happened successfully because it shows us the whole thing in a single string. And this thing also happened successfully because it shows us the length of the string, right? Now let's check it. Not this one. Yep. So here is our random.txt, and here we go. So we can read the file as well as append to the end of the file, right? Now that's the, that's the fun of using file handling, right? So you can read from the file, write from the file, write to the file, do whatever you want using the plus mode. This is called plus mode. Remember this. It, you can write plus mode using this r plus, or you can also write w plus as per your wish. It works almost the same. Now another thing. So some of you had asked, what would happen if I do not close the file? Let me show you in live. So if I say file dot, okay, not this one, file equals to, and open, inside this I'm going to say random.txt, and I'm going to open this in, let's say append mode. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write to the file. I'm gonna say file dot write. I'm gonna say I'm gonna put a new line here. I'm gonna say um, Python is great. Okay, so I'm gonna write this. So it happened successfully, right? Now if I try to open the file, okay, just close this thing. And now if I go to the demo folder and I try to open the file, so it opens successfully, right? But now if I try to do something here, like let's save this. See this thing very carefully. The process cannot access the file because it is being used by another process. Now what is a process? Process is a program which is currently being executed. So this notepad is a process, right? Because notepad, what is a notepad? A notepad is a program. Maybe it has been written in C++, maybe it has been written in Python. It is just a simple program. And when we double click it and run it, it becomes a process. So when we run a program, it becomes a process. Okay. And when a process, and this our Python terminal, yeah, okay, our Python terminal here, this thing is also a process, right? Because this terminal is a process itself, and inside the terminal we are opening Python interpreter, which is another process, right? Because this Python interpreter was written in C. This is also just a program, and when we open this, it becomes a process. Now the thing with process is that, let's say let's say there are two kids. Okay, simple example. The first kid is Bob and the second kid is John. So there's only one ball. Okay, there's one ball, but there are two kids. So now John goes and takes the ball. Now if Bob needs the ball, he cannot take the ball from John, right? I mean, obviously he can fight with him, but that's not what we're gonna do. Okay, so if John takes the ball, Bob cannot take the ball because the ball is only one, although there are two kids, right? So John must, just throw the ball away or keep the ball aside if and only then Bob can take the ball, right? Similarly, if there is only one pen and there are two or more than two students, how can a student work, right? So the first student takes the pen, writes something, then passes it to the second student. The second student takes the pen, writes something, then passes it to the third student. And one by one it does the job, but it cannot be accessed by all of them because the ball is only one or the pen is only one. There are multiple processes which need the same resource. Again, file you are opening here, this random.txt is a resource, right? So there is only one random.txt, right? There are not two random.txt. So our Python interpreter must give up the resource if we want to use the same resource through notepad, right? So let me draw this thing in paint, and that would be easier for you to understand. Let me open paint. Okay, so this is paint. So there are two programs running, and when programs run, it is called a process. So our first program, let me draw this. So this is our resource. This resource name is file.txt. Okay, not this one, random.txt. Okay, so this is our resource, or in this case, just imagine this is the ball, right? And these are our processes. This is one process, this is another process, and I'm just taking random shapes. No need to worry about the shapes. Let's name our processes. So this is our notepad, and this is Python interpreter. Okay, so these are our processes. Now Our Python interpreter has taken this ball or this resource. Okay, it, this is now his property. Okay, this guy over here, he cannot snatch it from him. Okay, he cannot go and just snatch out of him. The only time he can get the ball back is when he just gives up the ball. Okay, he no longer holds it, and only that time it can go and catch the ball, and then only we can access the resource using notepad. But right now the ball has been occupied by Python interpreter. So random.txt is in Python interpreter's hand. You cannot snatch it. Now you cannot, you maybe, you can read it, but you cannot write to the file. So both things cannot happen together, right? Both things cannot happen together. So it can be accessed by one process at a time. It cannot be accessed by multiple processes. That would cause a terror. Okay, that would cause a havoc. That would really cause much problem. There will be race conditions, and there are very complicated things. Okay, and the result would be unexpected. So this is the reason, computer is built like this. Okay, so minimize this. Now you got the idea what happens. So anyways, if I now close it, don't save this. Now if I close this, file dot close, now see what happened. Demo. So now we have the change, but previously while we were writing to the file, while we have all, it showed us success, right? After this line it had showed us the number of characters or the length of the string, but we couldn't see the change. Why? Because the changes haven't been saved. If you make a change in this file, you put something blah 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 blah, you need to save this, and Python saves the file when we write this line. And until and unless Python makes a change, no program can make a change in this file. Okay, so that's it for the basic file handling, guys. Let me open the camera right now. Save this. Whew. Give yourself a pat on the back. We have completed file handling basics. Okay, we are done with writing to the file, reading to the file, and all those basic stuffs. We have learned how to read a file, how to read it in multiple ways. So we have read lines, we have read line. We have also seen how to write to the file using write and write lines. We have seen how to append to the file. We have seen how to read as well as append to the file using the plus mode. And we have also worked with context managers, that keyword with open blah 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 as file. So these are called context managers. These are super important. And remember, always close your resources, no matter what it is. If it is a file, close it. If it is a network connection, close it. If it is a camera, close it. Whatever it is, when you open a thing, try to close it. Okay, never forget to close it. Okay, that will cause error. That it may happen that your changes might not be saved in your file. It may happen that other processes cannot use your file because it has been occupied by some other process. Okay, so remember to close whenever you open something. Okay, that is the first thing. You have seen two ways of opening a file. The first one is bad one, although sometimes there are use cases when you have to use that, but most of the time you will work with context managers while opening some file or resources. Okay, remember that thing. Okay, and in the next part we're gonna cover, or we're gonna learn CSV files. Super important. We're gonna learn CSV files, how to read a CSV files in a normal way, how to read a CSV files in a CSV way, and how to write to CSV files in a normal way, and how to write CSV files in a CSV way. And finally, we're going to see how to convert CSV to Excel sheets, and how to convert Excel sheets back to CSV files, right? So these things are super important. But now, since you know all the basic stuffs, This will be very easy for you. I promise you. You're gonna enjoy this. And see you in the next video, guys. Okay. Good night. Namaste.